So with the Romero movies, there's some mythology there to explore. Night of the Living Dead, it just happened. And so they're trapped in a house. The first time I saw Night of the Living Dead was actually a pretty interesting screening because I knew it was showing up on television. And I was at an adult party. It was when I was 16, saying I was older, working in a community theater. And I'd always wanted to...
What did you do at the community theater?
Oh, I was acting in plays.
Okay.
But I was hanging around all these adults. I said I was 18 so I could do the plays there. And so they were having one of their parties that Saturday night, and at 1 o'clock they were showing Night of the Living Dead, and I'm going to finally see it. So I don't even know whose house this was. I went in the bedroom and turned on the TV, and I ended up watching it to the very end. And then when that was over, I went out and joined the party.
What did you think when you first saw Night of the Living Dead?
No, I thought it was fantastic, but I was blown away by the ending. When Dwayne Jones gets killed, I was blown away. Yeah, these Pittsburgh actors, you spend so much time with them that their amateurness is the amateurness of the best kind, because they're not, they're actors because they love acting. That's what made George Romero such a terrific filmmaker, was that he was a legit regional filmmaker. And what made it special was the slightly homemade quality to the movie. Our mutual friend Elvis Mitchell has been working on this thing of the top 10 seminal, basically black movies, for lack of a better term, starting in the late 60s and basically ending at the end of the 70s. His two bookends, number one is Night of the Living Dead, and on the other end of the spectrum, the last official one is The Wiz.
Come on, Dorothy! Come on! Woo! Come on, Dorothy! Come on! Woo! Come on, Dorothy! Come on! Woo! Come on, Dorothy! Come on!
You should, if anyone's interested in seeing Barbarella, track down, I think it was HBO that did it. They just recently did a Jane Fonda documentary. Yeah, it is terrific.
It's terrific.
And she goes through a lot of the movies she made, and she goes through the different husbands that she had, and the whole section on Roger, the whole movie's interesting, but the section on Roger Vadim is very, very interesting, and especially them talking about Barbarella, because he goes, oh my God, she was like, he loves comic books, he loves science fiction, a science fiction comic book starring his wife. Oh my God! I had no choice. Of course I'm going to do it. I have to do it. I mean, it's like he's living for this. One of the great opening credit sequences. One of the great opening credit sequences. One of the great opening themes. Barbarella psychedelic. No, it absolutely is. No, it was like, it was what? It's like it hits our 60 thing, it hits our It Girl thing, and like I said, on Saturday, if you want to turn it into a Jane Fonda triple feature, it's all right there for you. The Wrecking Crew with Dean Martin as Donald Hamilton's Matt Helm. First, let's talk about The Wrecking Crew.
Yes.
Where they did 4 Wrecking Crew movies. This is the last one.
Yes.
Directed by the great Phil Carlson. Yeah, it's a bizarre choice, frankly. Yes. But I think it was just like, he did a lot of assignments, and I think this was definitely an assignment for him. I mean, it's one of the things that's actually kind of interesting about a lot of these, those guys that worked, studio directors that worked for in the 50s and in the 60s, doing their genre movies, is they kind of just did assignments that came along, and they had to do a bunch of different things. Now, Phil Carlson is like one of my favorite of the directors that I call there's that one group of directors at Andrew Sarris in American Film, Expressive Esoterica.
Yes.
Which is, it's kind of like the cool kids section of the book. They do all like the cool genre movies, and they're not the Pantheon, they're not the second wave of the Pantheon, but they're the cool kids, all right? They did good stuff. So he definitely, like Andre de Toth and Sam Fuller and Don Siegel, he definitely sits in that group. But, I don't think Carlson chose this, but he did what the bosses wanted.
It
was really weird with Dean Martin. It's really weird with Dean Martin.
Yeah.
The Matt Helm movies. Okay, like I loved them when I was a kid. I saw The Ambushers at the theaters when I was a kid, and the year this came out, I saw The Wrecking Crew. Now there's a lot of '60s stuff now that when I watch it that I just can't get into.
Right.
It's too silly. The Matt Helm movies are like that. All right, just like the stuff that's just too ridiculous to take seriously. But then why am I showing The Wrecking Crew? I chose it. I'm showing it because of Sharon Tate. I think it's her best performance, frankly. I think it's her best performance. Well, actually, the whole cast of this movie is pretty terrific. Actually, Dean is actually funnier in this than I think he is in the other ones. The movie knows not to take its plot that seriously, which the other ones didn't take it seriously, but they didn't know not to. This one kind of knows what it's doing by this time. And it's got a good double team in the case of Dean Martin and Sharon Tate. They're very, very funny together, with her having the comedic part of the klutz, and him kind of being the exasperated straight man to her. But also, it's got a great group of 60s it actresses. Elka Summer, Nancy Kwan. I see any Nancy Kwan movie from the 60s, or the 70s for that matter, even when she started doing exploitation movies. I like everything Nancy Kwan did. And Tina Louise, who I've always been a big fan of as well. But this is Sharon Tate's movie. Well, she deserves it. She is the movie.
Yes.
I mean, if you ask me, she is the movie. She's just, her character, Miss Carlson, Frida Carlson, is very, very funny. And she has a responsibility in this performance that I don't think she quite had in the other movie. She has to be funny. She actually she's the comic relief. She has to deliver the gags. Yes. I saw it at the Garfield Theater, and yeah, I saw The Wrecking Crew. I'd already seen The Ambushers, but the thing about the Wrecking Crew is I thought it was a very funny movie, and I knew who Dean Martin was from television and from the Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis movies. But I swear to gosh, I loved this movie when I was 6 because I loved Sharon Tate in the film. And I mean, in particular, her character of Frida Carlson. I thought she was so funny. And I just, I love slapstick comedy. I love people falling and people dangling from things, dangling from flagpoles and all that kind of physical comedy stuff I loved. And I'm not going to say it's like, I mean, I'd seen, I think, Lucille Ball by that point on television. So I'm not going to say that it's like the first time I saw a woman do a tremendous amount of physical comedy, but it's one of the first times I saw, especially a woman as beautiful as her. And especially in a 60s movie, which was a movie of then, as opposed to a black and white 40s film. Yeah, they're all just blatantly sexy, and they all have their own little theme song. Well, she has her theme song. She has a good theme song. The one when she walks away after the. And I think I actually think the name of this, because we used a little bit of it, but I saw the credit for it. Hugo Montenegro wrote it, and I actually think the name of that piece of music is "Frida Can Bang."
Really?
Yeah. Which is what you would think it would be named. But the thing about it was, again, as I was saying before in an earlier episode that we did, I was also taking my cues off the off of the adults in the audience, and they were all laughing at her. And I thought she was funny, and I thought she was charming, so I was laughing with her. And we will not spoil the last gag in the film, but you've got it coming up. But the last gag that she does, it brought the house down. I mean, it brought the entire house down. I couldn't believe how funny it was. I was laughing hysterically. The whole audience roared in unison, and everyone walked out of the theater laughing, which is like, the epitome of a great time at the movies. But and this sounds like because I made a movie with Sharon Tate, about Sharon Tate, that I'm fudging this. I'm not. I liked Frida Carlson's character so much that when the movie was over at the Garfield, I went outside, and actually the outside of the Garfield was not too dissimilar from the outside of the Bruin that's in my movie, with like the little patio area with the posters up and the box office box. And so I actually went to the poster and looked at the poster, and I asked my mom, which one is Miss Carlson? And she said, that one. Sharon Tate? That one, yes. And so that's how I learned who Sharon Tate was, is because I was charmed. I didn't quite fall in love the way I did with Goldie Hawn, but I was pretty charmed and was all set to watch as many Sharon Tate movies as I could, because I just thought she was so and like I said, that last gag just killed it. We're not giving it away. We're not giving it away, but the last gag kills it. Yeah, not only that, apparently not only did Dean Martin love working with her, apparently at the premiere, you know, when he's like talking to the reporters, he goes, "Oh, we love Tatey in this movie. She's just terrific. We want to do another one." And
Yeah.
the movie even announces another one at the end, which was never made.
Yeah.
And she was going to be in that one too. She was going to be his new sidekick, and never happened. I think it's probably. She might be the reason it never happened. It was like they didn't really have the heart to do another one.
Yeah.
After she died.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
My favorite moment of Sharon's, actually, of her whole career is in this movie. And it's a little bit, and it's no lines, actually. It's just a piece of business she does. So they're trying to sneak into the big bad guy, Nigel Green's estate. And she falls into like a dirty mud puddle. It's not mud, it's just dirty water.
Yeah.
It's like a big water puddle, brown water. And she goes face first into it. And Dean Martin rolls his eyes and has got to put up with her getting ready. And so she gets out and she's got her like powder blue, what looks like a stewardess outfit, you know, for like a really groovy airline.
Yeah.
I want to fly that plane, by the way. She falls in the water and then she gets out and, you know, she's got this dirty water on her, but it's not muddy, so she's fine. And she just kind of demurely puts herself together. With the water dripping off her, she kind of fixes her hair and gets everything together, and she's kind of nonplussed about her own clumsiness, and she's kind of nonplussed that she just fell in dirty water, and it's just the way she kind of smilingly fixes her hair and you know gets herself ready to go, and then like again she puts on this beautiful smile that makes it's all okay, and it's just this one. I think it's just this moment of Sharon Tate that I can't get enough of it. It's just watching her in that sequence, in character, kind of present herself. I just think it's just really lovely. You're right. No, and especially this is like, you know, this is the time of 60s television where like, you know, actors and actresses, you know, bug their eyes and really push, you know, double takes and spit takes.
Yes.
And, you know, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was just the way you did comedy on television. You made a good point. It's the thing that suggests that she's not, you know, she's not a natural born comedy actress. But when given the chance to play this kind of funny character, she jumped in it with both feet, but still attacked it from the right kind of way of trying to make the character, you know, in as crazy a world as this movie exists in, as honest as possible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. For all of our making fun of the Mad Hell movies, I hope you enjoyed The Wrecking Crew and really enjoyed Sharon Tate.
Why don't we call it a little bit of hanky-panky?
Well, I love the idea of an intermission. I love it in plays, and I love it when movies do it. And I think, especially since I'm such a storyteller, I really like taking the audience on telling them a story. And I love different storytelling techniques that you can use to, you know, delay an audience gratification or goose it to some degree or another. And, you know, to me, I guess my favorite intermission of all time is 2001, where the seemingly almost storyless whole first act goes, and then a conflict is introduced the minute before the introduction. I mean, the intermission. The minute before the intermission kicks in.
Yeah.
Like you had no idea that there was even a story going to be building up.
Right. Yeah.
And then the question becomes, and it's a question. It's not an answer. It's a question. Is that technology or is that spirituality? Again, but is it a spiritual thing? Is it a technological thing? But it's a slab. But I would think if I was going to try to sell technology, I might have a few working parts. Okay, well now you're trying to tie it together like it's a movie that has a story and it doesn't. No, it has a.
Okay, well let's go through it.
It has a theme, you know, and you know, but it's actually curious while you're describing it is. The apes respond to the sound, but they don't respond to the sound that way. It's not like, oh, they can't handle it. No, when it goes wah, when they touches it and then it goes wah, they respond to the wah. But it's not. It's a different sound. It's like it's not. They're not going.
They're not going like this, right?
I think It's one of the questions of cinema. It's one of the reasons that you can say that there's a brilliance to, if not Arthur C. Clarke's novel, but to Stanley Kubrick's movie. He seems to ignore everything about drama except just enough rope with knots in it.
You're so right.
To connect you to the next knot, to the next knot, to the next knot.
You're right.
And a case can be made that when the movie loses it, when it gets more metaphysical at the end, is when he stops supplying knots that are narrative. And the knots don't need to connect to each other. They just need to get you forward. And
You're
they
right.
do, and they do. And
It's like another crew member.
This show is
And
very
then-
much like Entertainment Tonight, but for like but for
Well, no.
astronauts. No, but it's done as if it's Entertainment Tonight. It has, and he's listening to it like he's listening to his report on Entertainment Tonight.
he's-
I thought it was
and then-
very much like
Okay.
you've done Angie, and you're watching the Entertainment Tonight special on
Yeah.
Angie, and here comes your guy.